Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking sports locally and nationally. Join the conversation on our social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go.
Instead of looking deep inside, every word I have to say.
Welcome back for another edition of the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. What is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us this week. My name is Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, you know him. He is the co-host. His name is Padawan J.
I sent an email to John Elway saying, hey, listen, I was quarterback back in the playground days. If you need a quarterback, he said, thank you, but your services are not required.
I got one, too, from him.
Yeah.
I was so sad about that. And another person who got that same email, he is the senior sports editor of the ODPH podcast. He is your coach. He is my coach. He is the coach, Coach Duffy.
It's good to be back. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you back in studio, my friend.
Yes.
As always. And we're glad that you are joining us as well, wherever you're listening to this fine podcast at. So definitely join in that conversation on social media. You can find all our accounts and so much more at OchoDuroParlayHour.com. And always remember, use the hashtag ODPH. So let's kick off the sports edition of the podcast, talking about the NFL and our locks and leaps as we do all season. So, Pad, kick us off.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with my lock. I chose the Green Bay Packers to beat the Chicago Bears, and holy sugar cookies did they ever. Green Bay won by the final score of 41-25. Aaron Rodgers had 21 of 29 for 211 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Mitchell Maserati Trubisky, 26 of 46 for 242 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Coach, your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I would initially like to just talk about Matt Nagy calling out his team and coaching staff.
Go right ahead.
Because, I mean, to me, it's like, my guy, you're the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, doesn't it start and end with you? I mean,
You would think.
That's just crazy to me. I mean, he came out and had a very, very, just not nice comment to say about his team that, you would think like, hey, you want the players to try and rally around you.
Sure,
you are a 5-6 team. You're in the playoff hunt, in the NFC. And then you come and, all right, it's not a great performance against this Green Bay Packer team, but like, really, what have you brought to the table as far as a head coach? I mean, this offense is anemic. Defensively, you're strong. Obviously they're missing a couple players. They've got some injuries there, but you still got Khalil Mack. You still got a really good secondary, and your offense doesn't help put any points on the board. So yeah, I think that was a bad take by Nagy.
Oh, absolutely, because, okay, you may not like the plays, you may not like the schemes, but ultimately, as the saying goes, the buck stops with you. If you're a head chef at a restaurant and you don't like and you don't like some of the meals that are being done, some of them aren't selling, you can talk to your other chefs and your other cooks and whatever and be pissed as you want, but ultimately they're not the ones making the choice to change the meals or maybe change the options. That's you. If you don't like some schemes, change it up. Like they can say, oh, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, but you can sit there and go, nah, we've been trying that. It just hasn't been working. Let's go a different direction about this. My favorite part of this entire game, though, was Tariq Cohen didn't play. He was at home. And he said he wasn't going to watch the game so that the Bears could play better. A little superstitious. I understand that.
I can get that.
Yeah, holy shit, this game got out of hand quick. I mean, you just look at, Rodgers, 4 touchdown passes. He passed 50,000 career passing yards during the game. Green Bay, 21 points in the second quarter alone, 14 in the third quarter. This was just dominant in all facets of the game.
If the Jets weren't such a big dumpster fire, I think Chicago would give them a run for the money.
Dude, well, no, they're 5-6. I mean, at one point they were first place in the division.
But here is where the ship goes sinking. This happened again, last year?
At least.
Yeah.
I want to say this is a pattern that the Bears are going through. That your defense is showing up, but your offense seriously.
Well, and I saw something. They're one of a hand, and I can't remember the exact number, the way the exact stat was put out on Twitter, because Lord knows I'd never be able to find it now. I saw it probably about 12 hours ago.
Yeah.
But the Bears are one of a handful of teams to win like 4 or 5 games in a row and then just have an absolute collapse like this and lose like 4, 5, 6 in a row.
Yeah, this is a pattern, and it's insanity because you're repeating the same action over and over again with no good result. Nagy has just completely lost his team. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, you had the breakdown much like we've seen with certain other coaches as well,
Yeah.
that you're trying to call out your players.
Yeah.
I understand the motivation factor,
Sure.
but how it came off, man.
There's better ways to motivate your players than doing this.
It was not a good take, and I would not doubt if.
No, and I mean, I'm looking at the Bears' schedule. You know, they won their first 3 games, beating Detroit, the Giants, and Atlanta. Lost in Week 4 against the Colts. They beat Tampa Bay and Carolina, and then they lost to the Rams, Saints, Titans, Vikings, and now Green Bay.
It's unacceptable, and this is a pattern they've been doing. I can't stress that enough. And to flip the coin, shout out to JVD because I know he was marking out about this as well over at the Crossover Collision. Aaron Rodgers is making a case that, did you all forget about me? Did you really? With everybody else going on in the NFL? 4 touchdowns, 211 yards.
Allow me to reintroduce myself.
Yeah. And
0 sacks, so kudos to that offensive line.
it's ridiculous to see the Bears just get pounded like that at Lambeau, where they've always played Green Bay tough.
I mean, I had the Bears. You know, it was like an 8.5 point spread, and I picked the Bears because I was like, Sunday night, you know, the Bears are playing well. Trubinsky's gonna, you know, maybe bring some value back to this offense that, you know, looked really bad the last couple of weeks with Foles at the helm, and you know, they'll make a run. You know, I obviously thought Green Bay was going to win. I just didn't think they were going to win by this much.
Oh, I didn't either. Just it's something about, you know, I couldn't look at Chicago and go, oh yeah, I think Chicago's going to win, because there's just something about Aaron Rodgers up against Chicago when the game's on NBC where just wacky, wild stuff happens.
He's the guy that rises to the occasion under the bright lights. He always has been. This was no exception. I just didn't think they were going to absolutely beat them as badly as they did, nearly double. And this goes to show that the Green Bay Packers are the real deal.
They are who we thought they were.
Exactly. And Chicago is who we thought they were too. Pretenders. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Your defense shows up every week, but they are exhausted. They look beat down.
Oh, yeah.
And when you can't keep them off the field so they can rest and give them a break, that you're really struggling to keep them off, you're not going to get anywhere with it. And I'm sorry, Maserati Mitch, park the car back in the garage. I don't know what you can do. I mean, sure, 3 touchdowns, 242, but you also had 2 interceptions.
No, I mean, to be honest though, the fumbles the one fumble, he got face masked hard twice. So
the one I'll give him that.
Listen. We said this going into the season that, you know, the Bears offensively, you know, are lackadaisical, you know, that they miss pieces that really, you know, Allen Robinson, as a good of a wide receiver, you know, as he has the potential to be, isn't a number 1, you know, and that's clearly shown. And, you know, for as good as, you know, the tight ends, Cole Kmet, you know, and everybody, you know, and they got, you know, Jimmy Graham too, you know, can be. Unfortunately, they don't have a quarterback that can get the ball to them or get pass protected to get the ball there. I mean, that's you know, as a Giants fan, let's talk about that real quick. I mean, if you don't have time to step up in the pocket, you're doomed, you know? To me, the biggest thing is, you know, and I know I'm harping on the Bears, is it's just, this is a problem with the coaching staff. I mean, you're seeing coaches get, you know, let go left and right this season, which has been pretty interesting given the fact of the COVID year. But I mean, after those comments, you know, because the biggest thing is once a coach gives up, you know, we've talked about, you know, being a offensive or defensive guru. Once said person gives up that responsibility and you still aren't producing, you know, on that side of whatever you're the guru on, it's time to go. You know what I mean? So to me, if I'm the Bears and after this comment, you know, if they don't come out and play well, I don't see any reason why Nagy still has a job come Monday.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, just for as good as the Bears defense was, Green Bay just absolutely shredded them. You know, you look at the rushing, as a team, they averaged 4.7 yards per carry on rushing, receiving 10 yards per catch.
Yeah. It just goes to show about the day and night difference between these two teams. Green Bay is the real deal. And as long as you have Aaron Rodgers at that helm, it doesn't matter if your defense is playing subpar or amazing. You'll be in every game. And it just goes to show how valuable he is to that team. And he is the catalyst for that offense. And he has definitely got to be in that MVP conversation. I'm not saying he's a lock to win.
Oh, but you gotta put him in there.
But you have to put him back in there. Like you have to definitely remember, because obviously everybody's talking Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes and stuff. Rodgers is still here saying, we got a chance to really make a run for the playoffs. Like, why are you guys forgetting about me? And to flip the coin, like I say, with Chicago, Nagy making those comments was very Bruce Arians-like, and that is not going to win your locker room over.
No.
So we will get into that a little later. But for Chicago, either they come out and absolutely put a whooping on the field, or they're going to be done.
Yeah.
And Nagy should be gone if they are absolutely destroyed this coming Sunday.
I mean, though, to that whole Nagy thing, it's crazy because, I mean, Patricia,
Sure.
gone, and,
Sure.
and Bill O'Brien gone, and then you look at the Jets.
Yeah.
Well, the
Not gone. Yeah, I mean, how they haven't let go of, what's his face? Gase.
Gase,
How
yeah.
they haven't let go of him after this
Yeah.
is nuts. I mean, because I don't know if you saw their comments going into Sunday's game against the Dolphins, but when
No.
Sam Darnold came back, they had both wide receivers in. Obviously Frank Gore as the starting running back.
Yeah.
He had said and touted, we're going to see hyperdrive. You're going to see my full offense come to fruition, and they didn't show up.
No, they didn't.
Bum, 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 bum.
And
Yeah.
I think at this stage of the Jets are like, where are you out of competition?
No, and honest to God, I mean, you don't want to say like the players have quit, but like, geez,
No, they quit. They're
they
done. They're done.
They checked out and they're already making off-season plans.
I picked the Jets to win this game based on the fact of division game, like you always talk
Sure,
about.
sure.
A little bit of self-pride here. The Dolphins,
Could be
a
looking
rival
past.
team. Fitzpatrick coming into play. All these things. Sam Darnold coming back. All these things were looking as if like, all right, this is an opportunity for a Jets team to come in and just steal a win.
Yeah.
And they didn't even 3 points. I know we're changing. I mean,
No,
I'm getting on the Jets,
but
like,
you're getting
shit.
back to the same point, because when the coach is that ineffective communicating to their team,
Mm-hmm.
it shows on the field. The Jets are atrocious. The Jets are the bottom shelf of the NFL.
Here's a question for you, though, and I can't take credit for this. I got to give credit to my brother on this one. Let me pull up. I was talking with my brother the other day. He said, real question is, could the Jets beat a QB-less Denver? He goes, we shall call it the shit bowl.
No, they couldn't beat it.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
No, because the Jets have clearly shown that they're done. They're mentally checked out.
I would definitely be. I could see a 10-6 game. Like it wouldn't be.
Oh,
There
yeah.
wouldn't be any offense.
I could see a 3-2 game.
Yeah, yeah.
You might see something like that because the Jets are so anemic that they, like I said, they're the bottom shelf.
Yeah.
Chicago is right around them, and it's so weird to say because when they came out and everybody's like, "Oh, they're possible contenders." No, because we've seen this happen before.
Yeah, and at least Chicago has some pieces there. You've got Khalil Mack on defense.
Yeah, you have a defense.
You got a defense. You got Allen Robinson is over as one of their wide receivers, I believe. So they've got some guys, but it's like the Jets. Name me one fucking person that's not named Sam Darnold or Joe Flacco that's on that team.
Yeah, you have Frank Gore, and the only reason I know because
He's been everywhere.
He's the ageless wonder. But everybody else, no, is gone. And the Jets have clearly mailed it in. That's why I think they're just going to sink the battleship. Gase will be gone that first Monday after the season's done, pending on whenever the last game is.
Mm-hmm.
I think right now that they've just completely mailed it in. But for Chicago to tailspin as bad as they've done for how many times in a row, look, the writing's on the wall. Nagy's got to go. I'm not wishing for anybody to get fired, but listen, if you're going to be a franchise moving forward, you got to make the change at the helm. If you don't, have fun just looking at the Packers in the rearview mirror because that's all you're going to see. Going to your leap, though, Pat.
I chose the Tennessee Titans to beat the Indianapolis Colts, and Lord have mercy, did we have an old-fashioned Western shootout with this one. Tennessee won by the final score of 45-26. Ryan Tannehill, 13 of 22 for 221 yards passing, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Phillip Rivers, 24 of 42 for 295 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And I should note, Derrick Henry, another beast of a game, 27 carries, 178 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I believe all of them before the second quarter or something bonkers like that.
Coach, your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because Derek, up until November, mid-November, it was Derrick Henry was there, but it was really Tannehill was playing really well. I mean, obviously there was that game, the Tennessee, what game did they go to overtime? That Derrick Henry just smashed it for 67 yards and then eventually punched in the touchdown.
Yeah,
that was
Baltimore.
against the Chargers?
No, Baltimore.
Baltimore. So outside of that game, I mean, it's really Tannehill's been playing very well. But now you come November and you're just feeding the beast and just letting Derrick Henry just run all over people right now. I mean, his carries have increased, his yards have increased. I think he went from averaging 4.1 yards per carry to 5.4. since November 15th.
I mean, I'm looking at the stats. September, he rushed 116, 84, 119. Then for October, he rushed 57, 212 against the Texans, 75, 112 November 1st, 68, 103, 133, 178 this past week.
It's nuts when you can go into the second half of the season and just have, normally this is when players are starting to, bumps and bruises, and you can start to see them slow down a little bit as far as production.
Yeah.
But you've got this guy who in the second half of the season literally increases production. That's nuts.
Yeah, no, this was an absolutely a huge game for Tennessee because, like I think I said last week, this was first place in the AFC South, and this was a Colts defense that was very good, very highly touted. The Derrick Henry just went, I don't care, I'm going to run all over you. Averaged 6.6 yards per carry, and I looked it up. He had all 3 touchdowns before halftime.
It is wild to see the day and night difference between these two teams from their first matchup. Because Indianapolis has been the surprise, I think, of the AFC South at the bare minimum.
Yeah. Sure.
Their defense is highly ranked. Phillip Rivers is playing
very good,
very well for his age, and for obviously being with a new team and such.
I mean, for only spots.
Yeah.
Coming out for QB sneaks and now pretty much for any long throw over 20 yards.
Yeah. But to flip the coin, Ryan Tannehill is having a renaissance, and shout out to Mike Vrabel for coming up with the game plan of we're going to just spare Henry until everybody in the season in the league.
Well, no, they still used him though.
But they still use him. But but now they're increasing his load. Like that's what I mean with the production.
Yeah,
I think that Vrabel has done this excellent.
Yeah,
because now teams are beat up because they've played a full season.
Yep.
I mean, with a couple exceptions, obviously, with what's going on with COVID. But teams are still in that wear and tear where they're just making it to the end of the season in one piece. Henry is now getting stronger.
They build them different down in Alabama.
They definitely do, and Henry is fruits of those labors. Like, usually those Alabama quarterbacks fail and bomb out, but he is obviously still running strong, and if he's doing all right, Tennessee is going to do all right. That's the one thing that you have to take away from them, that once you get them in the playoffs, they're going to be absolutely frightening, because I still think they're going to do it, and obviously in that South, it's a wide-open game to capture for them. Between them and Indianapolis, which this was a big statement win that I think they really wanted to send, because where Indianapolis has been playing well, they really have been playing teams close. Like you've seen a couple of blowouts here and there, and obviously they've been on the losing side as well. But for your division, which was supposed to be Houston's for the taking, and
I mean, not when after they made the Hopkins trade.
Yeah,
then we all were like,
the writing's on the wall there. You now having a new king of the South, and that's going to be the Titans.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how they don't, continue to dominate this this field up until, come playoff time. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't want to go into a game, come December against Derrick Henry in a cold weather, because he's literally going to seek contact. And when I was younger, when I was playing not Pee Wee, but youth football, one of my coaches, and the biggest thing that he told me was, it doesn't hurt. It hurts them more to tackle you than it does for you to run them over. And that, as a running back, as a kid, that was always that always spoke to me, because I was like, oh shit, they don't want to hit me, So what do you think a guy like Derrick Henry wants to do? He wants to seek that contact, and come December when things are cold and things hurt more.
Yeah,
I don't want to fuck with that.
No, he's definitely going to make a big statement in every game he's going to play, and especially they're just going to keep handing the ball off to him, which is great for Tennessee, because Tannehill, at this stage, you don't want to have him try getting into shootouts with anybody.
No.
It's not going to happen. Could he win something against Phillip Rivers? I mean, obviously, yeah.
Well, if A.J. Brown keeps playing the way that he's playing.
Well, that's another emergence there, too.
Fuck. That was killing me.
Yeah, to see how he was showing up there with 98-1. When you're getting production like this from your offense on both sides, and I know we always talk Derrick Henry, because he has been the Tennessee offense the past couple of years. Now you're starting to see more players emerge to give him some relief. Huge move.
Oh, yeah.
Huge. So if they can continue this going forward, they'll be all right. For Indianapolis, it's a bad loss, but it's not a back-breaking loss.
No.
They can bounce back. They still are in the wild card competition. Obviously, 7-4 is nothing to sneeze at. They're a game out of first place in the AFC South. So it's going to be a real fun race to watch down to the wire. We'll have to kind of wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
Coach, how about your picks?
Well, I liked, as my lock, the New York Football Giants But let's go with my leap first because that will be, a shorter segment. So my leap, I was actually going to go with the Chargers over the Bills. Pat, go ahead.
Yeah, so the Bills ended up winning by the final score of 27-17. Josh Allen, 18 of 24 for 157 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Justin Herbert, 31 of 52 for 316 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
You dare doubted the greatness of Josh Allen?
Well,
Dare doubted
no,
the greatness
I mean,
of Cole Beasley.
Again, I kind of, I've been messing up with the locks and leaps here, and I keep thinking point spread because that's what we're doing in our Yahoo thing. So I keep, I mean, the Chargers have played the last 4 or 5 games by less than 3 points, and the spread was 5.5. So I was like, they'll definitely cover this because the point spread is, within what they've been playing games usually.
I wasn't actively watching the game where I was watching the Patriots game, but the Bills game was on one of the TVs, and that's one of the stats that the broadcast brought up. They brought up like 4 different teams that have active streaks for games in a row where the points have been decided by, I want to say it was like
5 or less.
5 or less or something bizarre like that. And both the Chargers and Bills were in that little list.
No, I mean, the biggest thing to me is Anthony Lynn.
Yo.
Like, what the fuck? Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
Where, from the mismanagement of clock to ignoring analytics and everything. I mean, even the announcers were like, there was one point in the fourth quarter, they were down at like the 40 or the 30. It was early in the fourth quarter, and they were at the Bills like 47. And it was 4th and 3, and they bring out the punt unit, and the announcers are. And I'm even, Aaron and I were watching the game because she had picked the Bills and I had picked the Chargers, so we were keeping an eye on it. And I'm like, you have to go for it. And then the announcers chime in and like, no, analytically, you have to go for this. Like, you don't know if you're going to get the ball back with any time left. You're down 2 scores. You have to go for it. They punt. Then they get down on the goal line later in the game, and it was like, you have to take the points. Like, you have to, bring. You got to bring it to within a 2-possession game. You got to, you got to go down 10 or 11. You got to kick the field goal, and they go for it and they get stuffed.
Yeah,
and I'm like, what the fuck? Then you come back and you get this Hail Mary play, obviously no timeouts. So they penalty after penalty after penalty, forced the 4th and 28. They throw the Hail Mary, and now I'm like, all right, they're going to cover. Like, that's all I'm looking for right now. Like, get a touchdown and cover. And then they go down. They run the ball.
Yeah.
With 58 seconds left to go on the clock after you... First off, you don't spike it. You don't try to throw a fade or anything. You literally run the ball up the middle.
Yeah.
That gets stopped. Clock's still running. Then your second down play is a throw at whatever wide receiver's feet. I don't know what Herbert was thinking then. Then third down, you run a play action. You get sacked, and then you bring out your field goal. And then you're like, wait, what? Like, what are you bringing the field goal out unit for? You're down 2 scores with 6 seconds left.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Then the Bills, for whatever reason, bail them out by calling a timeout because they don't know whether the field goal units are going to come out or not. Then the offense comes back on, and they run a QB sneak with 6 seconds left from the 3-yard line.
Yeah.
The 3-yard line. Guys, the 3-yard line. You try to QB sneak. Like, QB sneaks don't gain yards. They gain a yard. Un yard. You try to run a QB sneak on the 3-yard line? Bro.
Yeah, no, but kudos to Buffalo on getting the win, although you barely got by because, like I said, I wasn't actively watching the game, but I was watching it out of the corner of my eye. There hit one point in the game where nobody wanted the goddamn ball. Like, the Bills gave the Chargers all the opportunities to come back in this game and either tie it or take the lead, and just nobody could hang on to the goddamn football. Because I'm looking at the play-by-play here. The Chargers scored a touchdown to make it 24-14 in the second half. Bills then punted, went 4-and-out, punted. Chargers got the ball, turnover on downs. So they turned the ball over to the Bills. Bills fumbled it 2 plays later. Chargers went and scored a field goal to make it 24-17. Then the Chargers went 3-and-out and punted. Bills got the ball back 4 plays and then threw an interception. Chargers went and ran 3 plays, threw an interception. So I'm sitting there like out of the corner of my eye going, holy shit, does anybody want this football or are we just playing hacky sack here?
2 takeaways from this. 1, the Chargers are the most puzzling team in all of football.
Dude.
Like I say, They are, if we were using wrestling terms, charismatic enigmas.
Yeah.
Because honestly, every time this team takes the field, and this is not just this season, I don't know what it is, ever since LaDainian Tomlinson left, you do not know what team is going to show up.
Facts.
You legitimately don't. The games that they should win, they lose. The ones they should lose, they somehow scrap a win.
Or hang in there.
Or just are in there until the final end. I mean, they're not that bad of a team that they should be having the record of 3-8.
Defensively, Bosa, they got Jerry Tillery, they got good linebackers, a very good secondary, probably arguably one of the better secondaries in the NFL. So they're already solid team. Then offensively, you got Keenan Allen, a pretty good offensive line, good running backs, and then, a rookie quarterback who is playing like a seasoned vet for the most part.
Statistically better than he should be.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like, all right, the 3-8 record, does speak to the fact that they have had some tougher games in their schedule. But, some of those 8, which are the losses, were, a Denver loss by 1 point that they should have closed that game out. Arguably, had they have, revisionist history, had they had gone down and done what the analytics would have said and gone for it on that 4th and 3, maybe converted, gone down and scored on that drive, or even kicked a field goal at some point, brought it within, 10 points earlier on than 4 minutes left to go in the 4th.
Yeah.
This Buffalo game could have gone differently too. It's been mismanagement the entire way through.
Oh, absolutely. I fully agree with you. And that is something that I'm very shocked at with Anthony Lynn. I figured he would have been handling this a little better, but his game time decisions, frightening. Absolutely frightening in this one. The Bills should have lost this game. I'll be the first one to tell you they should have. Because yet again, second half adjustments were not there. They looked sloppy coming out that third quarter. They were making bad decisions. They were letting the Chargers still hang in that game. Obviously, I understand that they were up at one point, 6-24?
And at halftime it was 17-6.
Yeah.
Buffalo.
So when they get up that big lead, they just took the foot off the gas, and this is something that's haunted this team the entire year.
So should I stop you? I feel like I've heard that before.
Yeah, really.
I know, but this is something like, honest to God, this is insanity watching, because every time we get in that third quarter, it's the same thing. Leslie Frazier doesn't switch up the defensive schemes. People are running the ball down the field. They're doing screen passes, and nobody changes.
And this is true. I realize I'm a Patriots fan, but I've seen more Buffalo games this year than I have in my entire life. And this is true. They just, the one I can always point to is against the Rams.
Yeah.
They had that big 20-whatever point lead that they went, and they're just like, all right, we're good. Time to start thinking about dinner plans.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling to see that. And for the Bills, who are still yet one game up on the Dolphins, which, I mean, you can thank the Dolphins defense. Don't even thank Tua for that one. That's another rant for another time. But for the Bills being in that first place, you haven't locked up anything yet.
No.
You need to play solid 4 quarters of football.
Sure.
You play 3. And the fourth one is usually we're hoping Josh Allen pulls a miracle off, which
you don't want to have to rely on that every week.
No, you don't.
I am very thankful that he can do this, but I don't want to sit there every week and wait for a late-minute comeback, because this is not how good teams prosper in the playoffs. You can't hang on the skin of your teeth there and expect to get by every fourth quarter. You need to be consistent, especially when you have a big lead.
Yeah.
If you don't have the lead, then what are you going to do? You're going to be aggressive for the ball. Why is it that when we get up, it's like we're going to this weird prevent-like defense, and teams are just literally running all over the place?
It just comes from coaching experience and being there. The Giants had those growing pains early on in Coughlin's time too, with Spagnuolo and Perry Fuel, where they would just sit back. And, we'll talk about in the Giants game, because the same thing happened, Teams just that don't know how to close out and finish. They think that, dink and dime, bend don't break mantra of letting them march down the field. Well, you let them march down the field too much, and then all of a sudden your offense, lets their foot off the gas. Because it's really not in a game like this, when you're up 17-6, the game finished 24 to whatever,
27-17.
27. So you only scored 10 more points
10 more
after
points
that?
second half.
So that's the problem. You go up big, you get these great offensive drives in the first half. All of a sudden, your defense sits back on their heels a little bit, because, they're thinking, all right, we got to keep the ball in front of us. We can give up field goals, just not touchdowns. But then all of a sudden your offense doesn't start scoring, and teams start to fight their way back into it. And
Yeah.
that's the same thing in the Giants game.
Yeah, and Buffalo really has got to get their third quarter act together because the next couple of weeks they don't have room to take the third
they
quarter
don't.
off.
They really
Because
don't.
if they take the third quarter off these next couple of weeks, they're going to get run out of the building. Because this coming week they're traveling to San Francisco to play the 49ers or near wherever the 49ers are playing.
They're going to be in Arizona.
So they're going to be playing the 49ers. The week after they play Pittsburgh
Sunday night.
on Sunday Night Football. Week 15 they play Denver, and then the final 2 weeks of the season they play the Patriots and the Dolphins.
It is something that they definitely need to work on. I mean, they're going to have a tough stretch. There's no question about it. Could they go limping into the playoffs? Absolutely. I'm going to be very realist about it. The games that I feel very safe with are Frisco and Denver.
I wouldn't feel safe about Frisco.
Frisco, yeah, it's up in the air.
I wouldn't feel safe about that.
But
But what they just did to the Rams.
I understand what they did, but the Frisco is so streaky
Exactly.
that I think that going to a new stadium and obviously being out of the element with what's going on there because they can't play in their stadium.
That's fair.
That it's going to be a different environment for them. So I think that they're going to have that whole, I don't want to say element of surprise, but it's going to be that whole new feel of like when they get on the field.
I think the advantage is Buffalo's played in Arizona.
Yeah,
So
so-
they're logistically already kind of ready for the travel and everything, unlike the Niners who are going to be straight hotel rooms, almost feel like it's an away game and it's going to feel weird.
Yeah, so that's what I said. It's going to throw them off at first. So they could definitely sneak by with that game.
Current line is Buffalo by 3.
Okay.
That's fair. And you know what? I would say that's almost like a home game for Frisco. If the line's only
Well,
at
it is.
3.
I mean, it is a home game for
Right,
Frisco.
right. But just
Yeah.
like to put in perspective, though,
Yeah.
the line is not crazy because even though the Bills are 8-3 and Frisco is what Frisco is, it's not a lock they're going to win. I do
Right.
think they're going to win this one. And then Pittsburgh is going to be the real test
Yeah.
to see what they got because I guarantee you Pittsburgh's not going to take off 4 quarters.
Nope.
They'll definitely be in there for that third one.
They
so,
might take off the first 3.
Well, they would say that,
Yeah.
no, they'll take off after 3 3/4.
Right, but it does scare me, though, when they get back on the field that they're going to be ready to rock and roll. So the Bills are going to have some competition before they lock up that AFC East, so anything is still possible. But now let us flip to the NFC East.
Yes, where I took the Giants to beat the Bengals. Pad.
Yeah, the Giants won by the final score of 19-17. Danny Dimes Jones, 16 of 27 for 213 yards passing. No touchdowns, no interceptions. Brandon Allen, 17 of 29 for 136 yards passing. 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
Your thoughts, Coach?
Yeah, well, let me address the elephant in the room because with this victory, the Giants now are in first place of the NFC East. Sole first place. And earlier in the season, buddy of the podcast, Driven 83,
Shout out, Dre.
had put out a tweet boasting about his Dallas Cowboys
Coach
being
has got the phone.
yeah, and so I'm going to direct quote this. He had boasted about the Dallas Cowboys being first place in the NFC East, and I had said something to the effect of, the Giant, being the NFC East first place team, is basically just guaranteeing your way of a first round loss and a higher draft pick, which at the time looked pretty bad because all the teams were 2-6. Now obviously my song has changed because this Giants team has changed. They have evolved, so to speak.
Okay.
So I said it. I said that winning, when the Cowboys were first place, enjoy that first round loss because that's what's going to happen. However, this Giants team, especially defensively, is scrappy as shit. And I know that the score is a lot closer than what it looked, and the point spread was 5.5. But the Bengals did get an opening kickoff return for a touchdown, which really kind of killed and flustered the Giants. And Danny Dimes got hurt, midway through the fourth quarter, and Colt McCoy had to come into the game, which really sucked the air out of the Giants' offense because they were really starting to click. Joe Judge, I know he's not going to be in the conversation for Coach of the Year, but he 100% should be.
I beg to differ. I think he is.
The problem is with Tomlinson going undefeated, this far, I don't think that he will get any votes.
He will get some.
Yeah. I don't know
if the Giants win the division. If the Giants win the division, he's going to get some.
Well, because this is the thing about this team. So obviously, going into the year, I knew offensively it was going to be bad. They just don't have talent. And then you talk about Saquon Barkley getting hurt,
right?
Which I actually think kind of helped the team because this has always been the Giants' problem when they have star talent offensively. They just get into this, and it's just a Giants cultural thing. They get into this love affair problem where they they used that person too much. Whether it was Odell Beckham, whether it was Jeremy Shockey, Tiki Barber, the list, Rodney Hampton, the list just goes on and on and on of players that get featured in the offense too much and it becomes too obvious and teams know what's coming. And when they lose said talent, Beckham, Shockey, all of a sudden, you see guys like Kevin Boss, who came in for Shockey, who, helped turn the tight end position around for the Giants. Then you have guys like Wayne Gallman come in, who, was third on the depth chart, who they brought in, the Devontae Freeman from Atlanta, who was a free agent, because they didn't trust what they had at running back. And all of a sudden now Wayne Gallman's your starting running back. And he's an absolute monster back there. He's running through people, not just running around them. He's running through people. And then obviously at wide receiver, they brought in Golden Tate to try and be the OBJ replacement. That didn't work out. Well, Sterling Shepard stepped up. He's playing very well. Darius Slayton has played well. Evan Ingram finally caught balls that he should have caught against Philly 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But listen, this Giants team, I would be, if I'm a wild card team and I got to play them as a home game, I'm a little worried, because obviously they're gonna probably with the playoff bracket now, 4 would play 7. No, 4 would play 5 still, because it would be 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5.
Yeah, it's weird with
with the first. Yeah, so the Giants would still have to play. So I don't know the playoff picture right now, Pat. If you're queuing it up,
yeah. So if 4's playing 7, they would be playing the Cardinals.
No, 4 would be playing 5. They'd be playing the Rams. So revenge for what the Rams did to them earlier in the year when the Giants weren't the same team. Because I'm telling you, this defensive line, and I owe an apology to not only Gettleman. But I owe an apology to Leonard Williams.
Okay.
I crushed this man, during the offseason when he was saying I should be paid like a top line defensive end / defensive tackle, just basically defensive lineman. And the Giants franchise tagged him, and I shat on him for that. I was like, that's a dumb, why you're going to pay this guy $15 million? Dude has 2 sacks over his career. This guy's balling right now. He lived in the Cincinnati backfield. And not to mention, the Giants' offensive line, guys, I don't know if you've seen, they're scary.
They've suddenly gotten good.
Daniel Jones has actually got a pocket around him. Andrew Thomas, the first-round pick, who everybody was killing earlier in the year, has come on and played very well. Shane Lemieux got in the lineup, and he's playing well. Willie Hernandez came off the COVID list. He's playing well. Nick Gates, a converted right tackle, is playing center, who at the time, Colombo, Judge, and the Giants the Giants organization was like, he has the potential to be the best center in the NFL. And I was like, what? He's a fucking right tackle. He can't play center, let alone be the best center in the NFL. Whoops. He's playing pretty goddamn well. Kevin Zelter, and then, Fleming, who had 2 killing penalties late in that game that actually killed the Giants when they were trying to run the clock out. But, guys, a lot of optimism over here, a lot of hope, and hope is very scary for me.
2 things. First of all, unless you're Coach Duffy, and show of hands at home, who the fuck knew Colt McCoy was still in the NFL? Not this guy.
Yeah. Well,
because I was talking to a coworker who is a Giants fan, and she goes, "I'll be honest, I didn't know Colt McCoy was our backup." I replied, "I'm like, I'll be honest, I didn't know Colt McCoy was still in the league. I thought he retired."
I had no idea.
So that comes as a shock. But to your point with Joe Judge, Coach, I looked it up. 2007, when the Pats went undefeated until the Super Bowl, Belichick did win the Coach of the Year that year. I was kind of curious. Yeah. So if Tomlinson does go, very deep into the playoffs, undefeated, I can totally foresee Tomlinson getting Coach of the Year. But Joe Judge absolutely should, and I would imagine, get some votes, because what he's doing with this team is nothing short of miraculous. Because you look at what this team is.
Fucking telling me.
That you, who knows, more about Giants than damn near anybody outside of the Giants front office, we're sitting here going, listen, we'll be lucky if we get 2 wins all year, and you're sitting here doubled your expectations.
Well, let alone how Jones played in the first half, the first 4 games of the season. the writing was on the wall that he was not ready to be a franchise quarterback.
Right, and then you look at whatever week it was when your running back, I'm blanking on the name of
Saquon Barkley got hurt against the Bears.
Saquon went down. You're like, oh, well, there goes your offense, because you look at the receiving core. They're good, but they're not exactly household names.
No, they're terrible.
Outside of Golden Tate, I don't think there's a household name on those receivers. So it's not exactly anybody that, if you're a fantasy guy, going, oh shit, I got to draft that guy in the 4th round or whatever the hell it is. So the fact that he's making what he's making out of what little arguably he has, he absolutely deserves some votes for Coach of the Year.
Here's a crazy stat too. You guys ready for this little bombshell that I heard from a guy on Twitter? Danny Dimes leads the NFL in passes over 20 yards, percentage completion.
Ooh.
I believe it.
How nuts? I mean, how crazy is that?
How many times does he throw those?
Listen. All he was saying in the video, because it was a hype video for the Giants' offensive line, was his completion percentage over 20 yards is the highest in the NFL.
Yeah,
and he completed 2 of them this week. So
I was going to say, I don't think he throws that many of them. Not to take anything away from
right,
it.
But I mean, listen. To still lead in that stat after having the year that he had last year, especially, I mean, he doesn't have DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't have DeAndre Hopkins. You know what I'm saying? Like, so to be able to throw the ball that accurately deep, you know, when his wide receivers are an average height of 5'10", I mean, that's pretty talented, because normally the guys that run those deep routes are 6 foot plus.
Yeah.
You know?
They have a lot of upside to look at for the Giants. Obviously, this was a game that nobody really had circled on their calendar except Giants fans. And the fact they got the win is still a good win, because they're a team that's surprisingly on the uprise.
Yeah.
And especially for everything going on with the NFC East, there really isn't a lot to talk about there.
Stock rising.
You got to look at
it. My buddy at work, he is a gambling fan. And when the Giants had that week where they were they were 2-5, I think, so they were in playoff contention. He had put in for the Giants to win the NFC East, and I was like, I missed it because it was the night that they played the Eagles on Thursday, so I couldn't jump on it. And I was because I mean that would have been a great bet to go on, because they control their destiny right now. They have the hardest road, but they control their destiny.
And that's what you want as a team.
Yep.
So you got to keep an eye out for what the Giants are doing. If we're talking safe bets, let me talk about my lock. Because last week on the show, I could not believe this point spread was what it was. And that was Kansas City was only favored by 3 going against Tampa Bay. Now, granted, the score did pan out and Kansas City did cover. But this game was not as close as the score was. This is what we call garbage time points. But, Pad, why don't we break this game down, shall we?
Yeah, so the Kansas City Chiefs defeated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by the final score of 27-24. Patrick Mahomes had 37 of 49 for 462 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Tom Brady, 27 of 41 for 345 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And I'm sure you've heard the stat, but I'll tell you it anyway. Tyreek Hill, holy shit, if you had him on fantasy, you had a good day. 13 catches for 269 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. He averaged 20 yards a catch.
Oh, my God. What are these thumbs doing pointing at me? Oh, do I have him in fantasy? Oh, that's right.
So you had a good day.
Yeah, I did, man. I'll
be honest. After about the second or third touchdown, I went, I'm not playing him in fantasy this weekend. I looked, oh, good, I'm not.
Oh, dude, I was laughing. I was literally, I'm hysterically cooking. It was Finn's 5th birthday, and I'm cooking his Philly cheesesteak, so I'm watching the game on my phone. I'd missed the first touchdown, so I saw, I had like 12 points or whatever, and I'm like, oh shit, Tyreek Hill scored, nice.
Yeah.
And then I watched the second one. I'm like, oh my God, he's got 2.
Yeah.
It's the first quarter.
Yeah.
Then I go back to doing stuff, and then all of a sudden I hear touchdown Kansas City, and I look up, and he's doing the backflip. And I go, oh my God. And everybody, my mom's over, the kids, are getting ready to eat. Aaron's like, what is going on? I go, Tyreek Hill just scored his 3rd touchdown in the first quarter. I have it locked. I go, this dude's on his way for 50 points.
Yeah.
This is, and I didn't know, I didn't know how many he actually had. And then, so he finishes with 44, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
fucking go.
I just feel bad for the cornerback or whoever was defending him because I think it was either the second or third touchdown. Jim Nantz actually said his name and goes, "Oh, Patrick Mahomes picking on whoever was, I forget who it was, for the second or third time." I felt bad for the guy,
dude. Double coverage. I mean, double him. What are you worried about Hardman or Sammy Watkins for? You got to worry about Kelsey and you got to worry about Tyreek Hill. And if you're going to opt for one to take away, I'm going to try and take away the speedster and Tyreek Hill and hope that Kelsey just doesn't break a couple tackles, on his 5 to 10 yard route that he's probably going to run.
Yeah. This just goes to show that yet again Bruce Arians might be in a little over his head.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't stress this enough. I just can't, because this game should have been literally 27-10.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason Tampa Bay got 14 points is the Chiefs took off the fourth quarter.
Well, and Tampa Bay finally figured out what the fuck to do with Gronk.
Well, yeah.
Because go figure, the week I drop him because he hasn't done anything fucking all year in fantasy, he goes off for 6 catches, 106 yards, which I'm pretty sure is his season high.
It is a season high, and Tampa Bay is just an anemic mess. I'm sorry. The fact that you now have Brady versus Arians and all the press clippings are coming out, everybody's throwing each other under the bus.
Mm-hmm.
The meme of Tom Brady at the end of that game, incredible.
Well, they snuck backdoor and covered, which grinded my gears because I picked Kansas City to win, and Aaron had Tampa Bay. So she was like, even though I was celebrating the Tyreek Hill win because, obviously fantasy, pays cash money, dollar bills, y'all. So I'm like, I'm worried about fantasy. She's sitting here religiously checking the board and I'm in first place, and I'm like, Aaron, who cares? I'm winning fantasy right now. That's the priority. But I mean, for this game with that backdoor cover, I was like, all right, so at least Tampa Bay can build a little bit of momentum off of this. But I think they realize, they know that they got shellacked. It was an embarrassing performance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's nothing really nice to say about this performance. Patrick Mahomes obviously had an MVP type game,
and this is a Tampa Bay defense that played well the last couple weeks.
Yeah, like I said, they played lights out. And honestly, the game should have been completely lopsided by that fourth quarter, but they took the feet off the foot off the gas. That's the only reason Tampa Bay was even in this, because they allowed Brady to get some garbage time points.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't even bring this up in the Giants game. Yeah, I mean, the Giants, that the whole second half was prevent defense. Just again, the mantra of keep everything in front of you. Bend, don't break. It's a good defensive strategy when your offense is putting up points.
Yeah.
But if your offense is not putting up points, as Kansas City did not do late in that second half of the third quarter and into the fourth, that becomes a problem, because when your offense isn't scoring, your bend, don't break, you might slip up and there might be that one touchdown. And obviously, that's what got Tampa Bay back in this game, was that late touchdown.
Yeah, but it wasn't enough to do the job, and now it's whose fault is it? That's the storyline coming out of Tampa Bay.
It's not Tom Brady's fault.
Not if you read the stories where supposedly he's the one calling the plays from the sidelines or picking the plays.
Yeah. It's now the weirdest divorce that you're seeing happen in the NFL, because I guarantee you at the end of the season, unless they win the Super Bowl somehow, one of them is gone.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we were talking about it at dinner. I mean, my mom didn't. She was like, "Wait, didn't Tom Brady, he was a New England guy, right? Didn't he come from Boston?" We were like, "Yeah, he signed this year." And, we were talking about how he wants to play till he's 45, and she's, watching the game. She's like, this guy wants to play till he's 45?
That ain't happening.
Yeah, no way. Happen. It can't. You just listen, at some point, you see yourself, and you're like, I'm becoming a shell of myself. I mean, Jerry Rice, for as long as he held on, even he knew at some point, Father Time has caught up to me. Deion Sanders, once he got moved to safety with that Ravens team, was even like, all right, it's time to go. Tom's got to realize that I don't have the arm strength. I can't. These wide receivers are all vertical routes, and you can't throw vertical routes.
I was just about to say that. I think it's really showing how much he doesn't have a Cole Beasley, Julian Edelman type down there, where as much as he might have lambasted and complained behind the scenes that he didn't have a deep threat guy, that he didn't have somebody he could throw deep to, guess what? Now you've got 3 of the best deep threat receivers in the NFL, and you ain't doing shit. You're sitting 2 games above 500 and just barely above the team you left in terms of records. And I think it's showing that you don't have that short route guy, because let's face it, you don't have the arm strength that you did 10, 11, 12 years ago that you could throw deep anymore, and just they're running deeper than you can throw it, and you don't have a guy you can check down to because, let's face it, they're running streaks.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I don't want to say that these guys can't run those routes. It's just that's not Bruce Arians' offense. It's never been the underneath stuff.
Oh, exactly.
It's never been that. It's always been stretch the field, get it vertical, throw it deep. I mean, that's why it works so well with Jameis Winston, because he's a howitzer of an arm that he can throw it 50 yards down the field. And if it was an interception, for his offense, that was okay because it's basically a punt.
No, I fully agree, and that's something that Brady just can't come to realize.
No.
And he's not going to get anywhere. Like I say, this is going to be one and done this year. He's going to have his guaranteed money in Tampa Bay. Might bring him back, sure, next year, but Arians won't be the coach.
No. I mean, not with the way that, not with how bad of a fallout it is.
You just can't.
Yeah, there's so much tension, on the sidelines, and you can see it, I mean, at least I know they talked about, Byron Leftwich of being the offensive coordinator, but I mean, he's in an impossible position because you have a head coach who is as stubborn as Arians is, and you've got one of arguably the greatest quarterbacks of all time in front of you, and you're having to basically pick between two you're a rock
and a hard place.
Yeah, you're a rock and a hard place. I mean, for every time that Brady's like, this play sucks, I don't want to run it. You've got Bruce saying, no, this is the play call. I mean, and listen, I don't think it's Leftwich calling the plays. Whether it is the rumors are true, whether it's Tom doing it or not. Pulling a little Aaron Rodgers and calling him, on the sidelines and stuff. I don't know, but it's definitely a ticking time bomb.
It just goes to show that, as good as this team looks on paper, but let's face it, this offense looks like something you do in Madden with the budget turned off.
Yeah.
That it don't matter.
It doesn't matter, and it's going to be a very long season still with 4 games left for Tampa Bay to really do something here.
And I got my tea ready.
Oh, the tea is ready. Pat, I can't wait for that take when he has it. So my leap, though, switching gears, has yet to be played. So we'll kind of kick off our 2-minute drill with that. So, Pat, you want to break that down?
Yeah, so you took the Baltimore Ravens to defeat the Pittsburgh Steelers, where I don't remember what the line was at the time.
4.5.
At this point, it is Pittsburgh. As we record, it's Pittsburgh by 10. So the line has grown by a lot.
Well, that's because Lamar Jackson's out.
Yeah, but the reason for that being is that when you made the pick, the Ravens were plus 22 people not being on the COVID list because in 9 straight days as of yesterday, I don't think they've had anybody come up today test positive. They had 9 straight days of players testing positive and getting put on the COVID list, to the point where the game was originally supposed to take place, as we all might remember, last week on Thanksgiving. It was supposed to be the evening game. It was like the one game I think everybody was looking forward to. Wednesday last week, the game got it was Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever it was. Wednesday. The game got postponed and pushed to Sunday because somebody on the Ravens had tested positive. So then it was kind of a question when it was going to take place, and they decided, I think it was going to be like a 105 or something. Then we get to Saturday, and the game got pushed back again to, I think it was Monday. Yep. And then the game got pushed to get back again to Tuesday, and then the game got pushed to Wednesday, and then what game was going to be at 8 o'clock on Wednesday, and then NBC went, we're lighting the Rockefeller tree at 8 o'clock on Wednesday. We ain't pushing that back. So now the game is scheduled to kick off at 3:40 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday.
Coach, your thoughts on this mess?
I mean, so I just can't. The turmoil that this puts the NFL in is nuts. I mean, there was potential rumors coming out of Baltimore's camp that they weren't even being told when they were going to fly out to Pittsburgh. Talks of them protesting the game. There was talks of how the NFL and the league would handle, paychecks if the game wasn't paid, for player checks. Would they be issued? Would they fine them for not playing the game? So, I mean, it's nuts. I guess really my comment to this is, and I don't want to sound insensitive or anything, but, with everything that is going on and you being a professional athlete, and we talk about, them needing to treat their body, as if it's their temple and everything. Like, come on. Let's have a little respect for your craft right now and make sure that you don't put yourself in a position, where you are the potential of being exposed to this. I mean, I know it might not be the popular take, but like you have a job, like your job is to be able to play. And if you are unable to play because you are, being, and I don't want to say every player was being careless, but, if somebody in the organization's being careless, or somebody that's in the room, in the staff, the building, what have you, is being careless and they're not doing the things that they need to do to take precautions, then there should be reprimands. There should be fines.
Absolutely. And I think what's also egregious is just how much the NFL isn't getting dragged for this. Because as somebody who had to sit here for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and listen to how shitty baseball was and how awful they were, cancel the season, end it now, you can't do anything. The fact that the NFL isn't getting dragged the exact same way is kind of, I don't know the word for it, but it's a joke. Because as Joe Sheehan, who is put on Twitter, he's a contributor for Sports Illustrated, he tweeted yesterday, quote, "If the NFL got covered the way Major League Baseball does, this last week would have spurred a congressional investigation." And that's not wrong, because as bad as the Miami Marlins situation got, that was over the course of like 2-3 weeks or whatever it was.
Yeah.
This was in the span of one. And you had 22 guys all at once, because the Marlins, if you remember, it was a spurt here, nothing, another spurt, nothing, another spurt. This was literally all in the case of one instance. So the fact that it's just, oh yeah, it is what it is, it's the case of the world, is just really pissing me off.
I think the problem with the difference is that the fact that the NFL has this ability to move the game, unlike baseball, because it was like, it's series. You're playing almost essentially Monday through Sunday. So you get something canceled. Now you're warping the entire season, where the NFL can just say, all right, we're going to play Monday.
Thing of it is,
all right, we're going to play Tuesday.
Thing of it is, though, is just with this one game, you've had at least 4 or 5 games also get moved. I think they've moved the Dallas, whatever, I think it was Baltimore-Pittsburgh game. They moved that at least 3 times.
Sure.
Because of all this.
No, I get it. They should absolutely be bodied for this. This is a bad look on, overall for the NFL has handled things pretty well outside of, to me, the Denver thing and this have been the 2 misses that the NFL has had.
And I agree with you. There needs to be, repercussions for this. Baltimore needs to be punished for this. I don't know what it is. Fine, but a fine is not enough. I know teams are getting fined, a couple $100,000 for not following the protocols that the league has set in place. But something needs to get done. Maybe a couple draft picks and the max amount fine they can do. But something needs to be done about this, because it really says how poorly and how mismanaged this is. Because for as much shit as baseball got, they eventually got it under wraps and went pretty smoothly for the year. And even with as bad as the Marlins situation got, they still finished all their games by the end of the year. But the fact that you've now got the NFL coming out and they're going to shut down all league facilities for 2 days to stop the prevent of this disease just shows I don't think they've fully got this under wraps.
I think that they don't have this under wraps, in my opinion. I think you take a look back at what we've had the course of this season. And obviously this is uncharted territory for a league to deal with.
Sure.
But you are right, Pat. Baseball got completely blasted, and rightfully so, when this happened and broke out. So the NFL definitely has not had the same reaction.
And I think it's a little rose-colored glasses have something to do with it.
It's something, because you take a look at what happened with Tennessee, and then you take a look at what happened this past week with Denver.
Yeah.
And their entire quarterback core was quarantined, so they couldn't play, and they had to have a practice squad wide receiver be a quarterback
who hadn't thrown a pass since 2018.
Right, and did the best he could under the situation, which we all knew that they were going to lose because, well, let's face it, you don't have a quarterback to quarterback your team.
Right.
For Baltimore, the fact that this has happened and gotten as widespread as it did for that team, there does need to be serious repercussions. You can't give a slap on the wrist about this. I'm sorry, you can't. Especially going this late in the season. This would be something different, in my opinion, if this happened week 1 or week 2.
Sure.
Because right then and there, you're getting a sense of, okay, what's the protocols? What do we need to do? But if you're not being that respectful to keep your organization safe, whoever was the person that first contracted it and now is spreading it, whatever the case is, you need to be better about this. There is no gray area. You need to set a better example. And now that this has happened, you've now completely impacted 2 teams at least, and a schedule that is now affecting the rest of the league. This is a domino effect that should have been nipped in the butt early. Why are we still talking about it? Why is this still happening? So for Goodell, in my opinion, you got to come down swift and you got to come down hard on him. Whether you take away game checks, whether you take away draft picks, you need to do something, because the example is not being set. For whatever reason, this is still happening. There's no explanation getting done.
And it's not a case of you have one or two bad apples. The fact that you have 22 in like 9 days or whatever it was, you got a lot of people not following protocol. That's not an instance of one guy went around and he's the social butterfly and he likes to go around and chat with everybody and got everybody sick. No, that's a lot of. I don't know what did it. I'm not going to sit here and throw accusations I haven't seen any rumors or whatever. Well, I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole. But this is an instance where if you have that many people in that short an amount of time, you had a lot of people not do what they were supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, just this is the facts that are given, and this is the evidence brought forth. That if you have this many people infected, then somebody was not following protocol.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the people you need to find, and those are the people you need to punish. Because now, if this happens later in the year, God forbid, what does that mean for your playoffs?
I mean, cause just to give an example, because I brought it up, I had to look it up. But this game, like we said, got postponed. The Steelers' Week 13 game on Sunday against Washington is going to be played on Monday at 5 o'clock. And the Ravens' Week 13 game against the Cowboys, which had already been moved once to December 7th, is now going to be played on Tuesday, December 8th at 8:05 p.m. So, like I said, there's been like 4 or 5 games changed with this whole thing.
Yeah, and you can't run a schedule like that.
Yeah, it's just putting everything into a flex. I mean, Vegas,
fantasy owners.
Yeah.
Christ, I know we all got the notification from Yahoo Fantasy about this, and I read it 3 times, and I still got a headache.
It's just so impactful in a negative sense on the league in general. Whether it's your teams, your organizations, your outside factors that are impacted by games being played, there's so much that this is where the NFL really needs to step it up. And we're going to be very critical about this, because if you don't, and this is just a slap on the wrist and everybody shrugs their shoulders, you need to be brought front and center and deal with the punishment of the fans and the media talking to you about this, because this is egregious. This should not be happening in this stage.
And it's got to be more than what's been given out. I think, what was it? Oakland got another penalty for not following the protocols, and it was $200,000. And then I think it was the loss of a 7th-round draft pick. In this instance, it's got to be more than that. It's got to be at least $200,000 fine and multiple draft picks.
You got to come up with something. So that'll be the question we pose to you, the ODPH Society. What do you think should be the proper punishment for Baltimore in this situation? And what's your feelings on this whole entire situation? And what's your feelings on Week 12 of the NFL? Let's have that conversation, shall we? Hit us up on the hashtag ODPH. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Well, hello there. I'm Brian Wayne, host of the Cheers to Comics podcast, and I'm here to bring you the ultimate comic book podcast for readers and lovers and collectors of all levels. Whether you're trying to get caught up on last week's books, or you're just looking to check out the latest interview with the latest creator, this is the podcast for you. So, if you're looking for a comic book show that doesn't stray away from the topic, and you're looking to get an insight from a true fan and lover of this industry, then tune into the Cheers to Comics podcast 3 times a week as I, Brian Wayne, raise a glass to this wonderful, wonderful industry that is comics. Cheers.
Hey, this is Brian Wolf from Fair City Fire. You are listening to ODPH, the greatest podcast in Binghamton.
Woo!
Coming back for the second segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast, and time to run the ropes and talk a little pro wrestling. So this week is a big card for both AEW and NXT, but different nights though. So we are going to kind of break down what is going on this coming Wednesday as we're recording, which is the AEW Winter is Coming card. So they are playing a little bit off Game of Thrones. The promotional art is definitely influenced by it.
Okay.
So they are building up into a very big match. So I just definitely want to get the panel's opinions on this, because otherwise I would say I don't really feel that this is necessarily a pay-per-view type card.
Sure.
But it's still a good card nevertheless, especially just for the main event in itself.
Okay.
Because They're going to kick off with Chris Jericho taking on Frankie Kazarian, so they're kind of doing a little bit of build up with that.
Okay.
So, I mean, nothing super crazy with
Good
that.
matchup, though.
It's a good matchup. Obviously, Chris Jericho has been the MVP of All Elite Wrestling, in my opinion, because he's been putting people over. And this one, obviously, Kazarian is Kazarian. You know, SCU is already established. You don't really need to do that
Writes
much.
itself.
But they are setting up that nice little feud with the whole new inner circle with MJF and Wardlow now being involved.
Sure.
That they got to do something for this. So, any kind of thoughts about this from the panel?
It's a good matchup. I mean, it's two guys. It's two guys that are, Jericho obviously very established. Having a very good year, and then SCU. Internet darlings, AEW darlings. It's one of those nice matchups that no matter what promotion you have, you always have those matchups that like, okay, you don't need to build up for this. You can just do it and it works.
Yeah.
Sure.
So next up, though, is one that they've been really hyping up, and that is Darby Allin, your TNT champion.
Okay.
Right.
Is teaming with Cody Rhodes, so imagine the Pyro.
Yeah.
Is taking on Team Taz's Powerhouse Hobbs.
That's a mouthful.
Yep. And Ricky Starks. So what they've been doing is Taz has been running this whole gimmick with his faction, saying that we're not on TV, we should be, we've only lost one match, and he's right about everything.
Sure.
Because rankings matter.
Exactly.
Or wins and losses matter.
Exactly.
Right.
So he's the one still spinning that, but yet his guys have never been on TV that much. They're always on AEW Dark and that whole back and forth that we talk about. So last week they did have this interview segment where Cody actually came out without Pyro, which that was the big takeaway for me.
I saw your tweet about that.
Yeah, I almost lost my mind. He just came out in his regular suit. He had a coat on, and he was talking with Taz. And then he brought up how Taz's son is getting trained, but not by Taz. So Taz wanted to put him in the Taz mission.
Oh, he went there.
Yeah, that was a big thing they were trying to say.
Oh, they went. That's a real Cobra Kai style right there. Talking about your son being trained by somebody else.
Yeah, like it was just kind of like a weird setup for it. But this one, they've been teasing this feud a little bit. I mean, Darby Allin having the TNT title after beating Cody for it. And now they're going to set up the tag match. So this is supposed to be like the co-main of the show.
Sure.
So this one, I think, could go a lot of different ways. I wouldn't mind seeing Team Taz win, just because to prove their point, like we've been off TV, our rankings matter. Where are we?
Yeah.
Right, when we've been on TV.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind seeing that. And like I said, Will Hobbs has definitely had the character transformation. He's had some great moments when he's been featured on Dynamite. So I think this will be kind of a good stepping out moment for him and definitely get some shine into his character. Because, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of potential with him. It's just when he's kept off the main show.
Yeah.
And this is one thing that we always talk about with AEW. If you're not on Dynamite, you have to go search the internet to find out about you.
Yeah.
So that being said, I think this should be a good match, a little build-up. I'm not sure exactly where to expect with this, except I'm hoping Team Taz wins.
It's definitely an interesting matchup.
Yeah. There's one thing they've been really just trying to establish is like Darby is the underdog champion now.
Sure.
And obviously with Team Taz.
Sure.
It's just kind of pairing with Cody and how Darby is now the new face of TNT or whether they want to spin for that. It's got a lot of potential to it. So I think it shouldn't be a bad match.
No.
It should be entertaining.
I have a prediction.
Okay.
Cody doesn't get pinned.
I'll go with that too.
Yeah, more than likely.
I will take you up on that. Britt Baker's also in action too. Definitely want to throw that in there. I'm not sure who she's facing though, as I'm reading on the card.
Sure.
But then they go into this Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal.
Okay.
So
where they're going to win a ring.
Yes, because this is the impressive MJF's diamond ring that he is always wearing.
So they're grabbing the proverbial brass ring?
Yes, but this is diamond ring though.
Oh.
So this one is going to be a battle royal, which I mean these are always fun. So they're not going to be obviously.
AEW does love their battle royals.
They do, which is something I think they pull off very well.
Yeah.
I'm not mad about this at all. The entrants announced are MJF, obviously, Wardlow, Hangman Adam Page, Sammy Guevara, John Silver and Alex Reynolds from the Dark Order, Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn from Private Party, Matt Hardy, Matt Sydal, who has recently just signed to AEW.
Okay.
Scorpio Sky, Sean Spears, Kip Sabian, Miro, and your favorite, my favorite, everybody's favorite, freshly squeezed.
Yes.
Orange Cassidy. Thoughts on this Battle Royal?
A lot of names, a lot of recognizable names. So that's what I like with Battle Royals, because normally you see a Battle Royal and it's like, oh yeah, I forget you're even with the roster. And then it's like, I don't care, I'm going to go get food or go to the bathroom. But in this instance, it's a lot of names. I'm like, oh, this could have some fun and interesting moments.
The old get everybody on the card.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm okay with this. Like, it's
Yeah,
kind of,
you know, everyone, you know, you want to do a battle royal every once in a while because, hey, we're different. We're AEW. We don't do things like the WWE does. We don't have just 100 battle royals a year just to get everybody on TV. We're different.
You're supposed to save this for when they start giving out a giant trophy every year for it.
Right. Well, I mean, they have a little itty bitty ring that they're going to give around every year now, according to Tony Khan per Dave Meltzer. So, yeah, I mean, this will be great. Different. Totally different. But same.
yeah, I fear it's going to be, obviously, this is going to be MJF's to lose.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some crazy, you know, spot fests and some super kicks and some
Orange
over the
Cassidy's
tops.
going to do his usual shtick.
Yeah, and he's going to put his hands in his pockets, and everybody's going to love it. I'm going to eat that shit up, and I'm probably not even going to watch, but I'll check the highlights. And, you know, I bet you it probably will come down to MJF.
Probably.
And Orange Cassidy.
Probably.
Would be my guess.
That'd be the smart booking.
Yep.
It would be the smart booking, but I'm not doubting this, though. I think you might see Hangman Adam Page versus MJF.
Okay.
Because the only reason I say this is you have MJF, who obviously very young to the business still. I believe he's only like 24, 25 years old.
Right.
He is going to be the cornerstone of AEW if they're smart and they want to build around young talent.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You also have Adam Page, who is arguably one of your biggest faces. You just got out of the program with him and Kenny Omega.
Yep.
What would be better than to put those two in a program together?
Yeah.
And then you have your modern day Rock versus Triple H.
Sure.
In that sense that you have your young talent that you can finally build to see what build some
Yeah,
chemistry
but
with them.
what the Rock and Triple H had was the Intercontinental title.
Right.
To go between them. There isn't that title.
Yeah.
So just a plain old rivalry doesn't really do it for me because it was those matches that were like so intense because Triple H would win the Intercontinental title and go on a 2-month run with it. But then, 2 months later at the next pay-per-view, The Rock was getting it back. And it just kept going back and forth. And that's what built that rivalry up because each, time one was winning, the other was losing. They don't have a title to do that with.
Not just yet. But what I think is going to happen at some point is I think MJF winds up with the TNT title.
Okay.
Probably.
And then I think now you have your battle. But I think this will lay the groundwork for that.
I mean, I know that the Revival or FTR, really wanted to travel, and hit the road and do that stuff. But they really, listen, first off, COVID. So, traveling is not happening.
Yeah.
Like, if you're smart and you got a family, which they do, you should stay home. But secondly, they really dropped they should have, Tully, Sean Spears, I guess, and Hangman Page should have formed some sort of four-man faction. And it should have been a playoff, the Four Horsemen. And it would have been gold. And they dropped the ball on that. And I will say that to my dying day.
No, I agree with you.
They had an opportunity to catch lightning in the bottle.
Sure.
Because, what better of a way to really get, especially coming off of this loss, getting kicked out of the elite, and now being on his own, then having him get sucked in by Tully, like having him pull him over here, like, hey, I know you're down on your luck, but come join us, and then all of a sudden they're riding off in the sunset as like this new horseman group.
It would have made a lot of sense, and I agree with you. I think they should have, and that's one thing that we've always been very critical and honest about here is their storyline setups are all over the place. The in-ring work I don't have an issue with, but the build-ups and the post, I do.
And I guess it didn't help that FTR wasn't staying. So, you really couldn't do anything with it. But had they of, or maybe if you would have done this, you could have,
Well, the weird thing was
talked.
last week they cut a promo saying that they're coming back for those titles.
Jesus Christ.
So that's why I said, everything.
All right, next match. I'm done.
Everything's up in the air with that. And like I said, the pre and the post is the only thing you got a question about. But this one I think has got some build-up because obviously with MJF now being a part of the inner circle, will that lead to maybe also Sammy Guevara's in this? He's a member of the inner circle. Would it come down to one of those two take on each other?
Sure.
A lot of different ways you can go. But this is not why we came to talk about this match. I'm very actually excited about the main event.
Okay.
And the main event is for the AEW World Title.
Mm-hmm.
Jon Moxley, your champion, taking on the Cleaner.
Hashtag
Yes.
Year of Omega.
Year of Omega starts now, Kenny Omega. So this has been something I've been very excited about because now that since they finally set up the tournament for the number one contender, Omega is now back to being a singles wrestler.
Sure.
And this is where he is best suited. I'm sorry. The makeshift tag team with Paige was good for a little bit, but for an organization that prides itself on being tag team specific and the greatest tag team division ever, you shouldn't have a makeshift tag team as your champion.
No,
for an extended amount of time, and they did.
Right, which is just why.
Yeah,
but, okay.
But now we go into
different.
but
same.
But now we go into the Year of Omega, which the last time they fought each other, they had that really wild, unsanctioned lights out match.
Dude,
Oh,
the build for the Year of Omega though has been so flat to me.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I feel like if you were going to have him come back and be the cleaner, it should have just been this just absolute monster of Omega. You know, just the cleaner. I mean, when he was in New Japan, he was the cleaner. He was absolutely just murdering dudes. Not just having great matches. He was straight up just finishing people. That has not been the case here.
No.
I mean, I know he had the one squash with Sonny. Yeah, but that's it. That's it. That's all it's been. You know, I mean, I really wanted to see that clean. I wanted to see that heel mentality, that bad guy Omega, that pure cleaner Omega, and it's been just this tweener.
See, I think that we're going to see that change on this night.
Okay.
I think so. I think this match could have the potential to be a barn burner because, according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com, Tony Khan has said TNT is willing to stay with the Moxley Omega match past 10 o'clock Eastern if necessary.
Well,
Oh boy, I wonder what that means.
So, I mean, they could be a potential barn burner just if they're willing to go along with it and go run over.
well, yeah, they're going. I mean,
well, since they've already tipped off that they might go over with that,
yeah,
my only question would be this. We all know John Moxley.
sure.
He is not a Seth Rollins wrestler.
No.
He is not a Kenny Omega wrestler.
No.
Fair.
Can he put on a 5-star match for an hour?
I mean, I don't know if he can do it for an hour, but he can definitely. I mean, the first him and Omega match, like, that's what's cool about these two is that their styles are so converse that it does ultimately tell a good story because Omega's going to be the one that's going to be putting on the show, you know, so to speak.
Yeah.
When, you know, Ambrose is going to be the one, or Moxley, I'm sorry, is going to be the one trying to slow shit down. So that's really the story that the two of them can tell is the conflicting of styles, which can lead to a good match. It's just, yeah, is it going to go for an hour and be a 5-star? Only in Dave Meltzer's eyes.
I agree with you, and I think this one will go 45 minutes, I think.
Oh, it's going to run over.
Yeah.
And I bet you the reason why they're fearing of the run over is just in case something happens in the Rumble or the Battle Royal that carries long, and you know they might need to stretch them out.
Could be.
It could be
Because they're not going an hour.
No, they're definitely not going an hour because I don't see Moxley doing that. No offense, but it's just how he wrestles here. He always wrestles a different style in New Japan.
Yeah,
always weird.
I really like the New Japan Moxley too.
Yeah, which I guess Tony Khan said he will not be a part of Wrestle Kingdom this year.
No, he will not.
Which is very depressing.
Very stern about that.
Yeah, which just really confused by that. But
well, I mean, I think it's because they're trying to protect their wrestler from going over there and being exposed to, you know, potential.
All right. Well, for that reason, I can see. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I wasn't even thinking that. So yeah, that does make sense. Just because I don't know how like their talent is working if anybody else is going to. So
Right.
I know with Moxley he's not, and probably he's not going because obviously Renee Young announced that she was pregnant. So
Yep.
Well, Renee didn't announce it. John did.
yeah.
well,
John-
not even Bailey fucking got first to find out. So
yeah, because of an accidental text.
yeah,
So.
so that's funny. But anyway, yeah, I know this match should be great and it will be exciting and there will be moments of awe and there will be moments of oh my God, you know, what did we just see? But I don't know. I'm not
The marks
as
will be going nuts.
Yeah, I'm not as excited because Moxley's run as the champion has been meh to me because he really hasn't had anybody to face that outside of Jericho was really anybody of like, oh, you know, like that's cool. You know, like the Archer or whoever,
Lance Archer.
that was poppycock. The MJF thing was a little rushed and early. And now, you know, we're coming full circle and we're back to Omega. And Omega's year has been meh to me because of the tag title run.
Yeah.
Because of the lack of build to the cleaner. So,
Well, and I think the other part of it too, now that I think about it, is just the lack of major stars they have on that brand.
whoa.
Because hold on,
You bite your tongue.
Well, because they have names. You know, they have names. Chris Jericho, huge name for them. But you look at the other name, yeah, they're names, but they're not exactly names that for myself, the casual AEW viewer, which is every once in a blue moon, that if I see a video, holy shit, Kenny Omega, squashed so-and-so. Because arguably the only people that, if Kenny Omega were to have a match with these folks and have a squash match, I would go, holy shit, it'd be either the Young Bucks or Cody. And let's face it, that's not going to happen because he's friends and he's in a group with those guys.
Pat, I'd beg to differ. They have many household names that you can recognize. I mean, Miro is definitely a household name that you've never seen before.
No, but I'm saying they have household names, but not any names that are big enough
right.
for AEW or for the storytelling purposes that make me go, holy shit, he just squashed it. Like, I expect him to beat Nero. I expect him to meet Jack Swagger or whatever the hell his name is.
Matt Hardy is a household name that you've never heard of before.
Matt Hardy is like borderline retired.
Luke Harper. Brody
Lee.
Brody Lee is a household name that you've never seen before. I mean, these are all guys they've built up on their own.
He said that with a straight face, too.
He did.
Guys,
amazing.
I mean, it's just the disrespect. I mean, listen, Meltzer would tell you himself that there's way more household and individuals that you could recognize on an AEW roster of an average fan than you could of a WWE talent. Okay, guys? So let's not speak to this not having names.
So that being said, though, who are you taking in this match?
Moxley.
It's got to be Omega.
I'm thinking Moxley gets the cheap win.
Okay.
And I think Omega snaps and goes full cleaner.
Oh, so, okay. That makes sense because they do, they got a pay-per-view coming up soon, right?
February.
So that would make sense if we get a rematch.
Yeah.
But Moxley would have 2 out of 3 matches.
It's a weird thing with their booking. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it's a weird thing with their booking. And then I was thinking, well, because originally I was thinking Omega was going to win, then Moxley was going to New Japan, and then I completely. The one thing about wrestling being on TV is like sometimes I forget that they don't do travel anymore.
Right? Yeah, they're just there.
I know, and it took me a second to realize, like, oh yeah, you obviously can't travel out of the country. So my apologies for that.
That's so tough.
But it's tough to predict about that.
Oh, because it does. I mean, him saying that Moxley can't go over, you would assume like he can't do
New Japan
because he's your world champion. You wouldn't want your world champion being on somebody else's program, regardless of situation.
Right. Right.
And I just completely blanked on that. Like it's so weird too.
Fuck. I'm gonna stick with Omega because I feel like him winning it on TV will be that like Goldberg Hogan moment where everybody's gonna be like, turn it to TNT, oh my god, Omega's beating Moxley, and they'll like hype it up and everything, and they'll say, look what we aired on national TV, they're going to pull the Bischoff. Like that's what I see them doing.
It would be something to see, and definitely, like, I'm locked in for this on Wednesday.
NXT wins 1 ratings, and AEW's already pushing the panic button.
But not the same. Different, but the same.
Exactly. So we'll definitely...
Not WCW 2.0, just WCW 2.1.
Fair enough, Coach. We'll have to kind of wait to see TNT on Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Winter is coming by AEW. But like we said, that's not the biggest card of the week. I mean, obviously there's 2 pay-per-view type cards going on. One is unofficial, but now we're talking about the official one.
Yeah.
Because it's time to talk NXT Wargames.
Yeah, I'm not even going to do it because nobody does it better than Regal.
This is true.
Regal is...
And the build for it was so perfect.
Uh-huh.
It's coming.
You look back at the incident that took place last week after NXT went off the air, and they're still brawling, and they didn't show him, but I think it was Cole was in the ring after Regal came out, and you could just hear Cole in the background.
Yeah, he's like, say it,
Regal.
I know you're gonna say it.
It was so good.
It's amazing, but now the time is finally here, going down December 6th.
Yep, Sunday night.
Break it down for us, Pat.
Yep, so Sunday night, December 6th at 7 o'clock Eastern on the WWE Network. You have NXT Wargames, and running through the list, this is the matches we have announced. You have Dexter Lumis taking on Cameron Grimes in a strap match.
Now, this should be fun.
Oh, yeah.
The way they've been building this up, I'm sorry, Dexter Lumis had never been really somebody on my radar, but he's kind of winning me over.
He's got this weird charisma to him that I thought the same thing too when he was doing the initial stuff with Velveteen Dream, where I was like, this is, and when he was doing his early stuff with Roddy, I was like, this is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But now that, he's gotten away from that and stuff, he's kind of grown on me too. And the other gentleman,
Cameron Grimes,
I love his finisher.
Yeah.
That double stomp is sick.
Yeah, it's something he's been doing in the Indies. In the Indies, he was throwing around like a super kick, so I love it that he's now just doing it as his finish.
Well, and the first time I saw him on TV, he came out, and I was like, oh, this is kind of weird. This feels like a spinoff of like maybe a Becky Lynch and her early steampunk stuff, But then he came out and he had that one match where it was like, came out, double stomp, 1, 2, 3, it was over, and I'm like, wait, holy shit, what just happened?
Yeah.
So this is one that both guys have grown on me, and I really can't wait for this match.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun match.
This could open.
I believe it's going to be the opener. I'm actually going to take Cameron Grimes.
Okay.
Sure. Who's you got?
Yeah, probably Cameron Grimes.
Okay. So the panel takes Grimes in a sweep. So next up, though, Pat.
You have for the NXT North American title, Johnny Gargano versus Damian Priest versus Leon Ruff.
In the upset of the year, Leon Ruff is your
I'm just gonna say it right now. Apologies to Leon Ruff. You are gonna get your ass beaten this one.
You're gonna take a lot. You're gonna take a lot of spots.
You are a means to an end for Damian Priest. You have gotten Damian Priest to where he wants things to be, and now you are gonna take some bumps, my friend.
Yeah, this is gonna be Damian Priest's show to take. I fully see him retaking that title.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's been a nice story, though. Don't get me wrong. I love the story on this.
What was it? Leon's first televised NXT matchup. He comes out and he beats Gargano to win the belt. Obviously, there were shenanigans involved, but no, it's been a fun build.
It's been a fun build, but the ride is over.
Yep. Next up for the women's Wargame match, you have Team Shotzi Blackheart taking on Team LeRae. So for Team LeRae, you have Candice LeRae, Toni Storm, Dakota Kai, and Raquel Gonzalez. And then for Team Blackheart, you have Shotzi Blackheart, Ember Moon, Rhea Ripley, and a fourth member yet to be named.
Thoughts on this, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, I've not seen a ton of the women's stuff, so I would appreciate you filling me in.
So the whole buildup with this one is, obviously, if you're familiar with Shotzi Blackheart's entrance, she has that driving tank.
Tank, yes.
She comes out, arguably the best entrance in pro wrestling right now. It's hilarious every time she comes out. She was having a match, about a month or so ago at this point?
Yeah, give or take.
About a month or so ago at this point, she was having a match, and they cut the video board behind her to Candice LeRae in the parking lot, where she proceeded to take an SUV, drive an SUV. I believe the person wearing the Scream mask was in the back seat of all things.
Her sidekick there. I'm blanking on her name, but yes.
Proceeded to take an SUV and drive over Shotzi's tank.
That's not very nice.
No, so Shotzi was damn near inconsolable. I think she was having a match with Toni Storm.
Yes.
Toni Storm. And so, the match basically ended, Toni was consoling her in the middle of the ring. They went to interview Shotzi after the match. And backstage, and she just ran and couldn't go anywhere. So then it developed into Shotzi wants revenge on Candice LeRae for destroying her tank, and now they're going to have a Wargames match.
There you go.
Yeah, it's an easy build-up. And Indy Hartwell,
thank you,
was the one that's teaming up with her. So, yeah, this one is going to be a fun match.
It's going to be fucking stiff.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I'm all for this.
Oh, my God. Between Toni Storm, Dakota Kai, and Candice, and then you've got Shotzi, Ember, and Rhea, none of them work anything less than stiff.
Yeah, this is going to be something absolutely wild. Ripley and Storm, I think, are going to have breakout performances. And for the mystery partner, I'm going to say returning to NXT, Mercedes Martinez.
Could be.
That I think that since she's gone from Retribution, that this will be a way to bring her back. It'll be a sleeper way to kind of sneak her in. Because I'm really not sure who else would be open.
Yeah, no, I can't think of anybody that is on that roster that's a big enough name to get added to it that just wouldn't get lost in the shuffle.
I mean, the only dark horse in this that it could be is Charlotte.
Oh.
Now, we have not seen Charlotte on TV in a long time because she took time off for surgery.
I believe so.
I forget the reason why she took off.
I believe so.
But that would be something if you really want to talk about moving the
needle. That'd be like Owens a couple years ago when he showed up.
Yeah.
Holy fuck, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, something completely wild. So, I mean, that's my two predictions for who's going to be in here. As for a winner, I'm not down Team Shotzi pulling this off.
No, I'm thinking the same thing.
But I expect this one to be a match of the night candidate. Obviously, all the women in this match are absolutely awesome, so I cannot wait to see what they do.
It's just going to go on to show why NXT has the best women's division in wrestling.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But now we get to the main event.
Yep, that is the men's Wargame match where it is the Undisputed Era. Of course, Adam Cole, Bebe, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, and Bobby Fish taking on, and I did not know this was their name, but apparently this is, the Kings of NXT in Pat McAfee, Pete Dunne and the NXT Tag Team Champions Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch.
I hate the name.
I do too. I do too.
I'm sorry.
You run the show for a month and you knock out a couple of guys, and all of a sudden you're the Kings of NXT.
How they've been setting this up has been very good, I will say.
Can I just say Finn's return, what was it, last week or 2 weeks ago on NXT? Fucking gold.
Oh, yeah, when he brought
when the cat's away, the mice will play, but the cat is back, and look what I just dragged in, and I'm like, holy fuck, this is awesome.
He brought back all of Undisputed Era. Yeah, this is going to be a fun match.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be so good.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see how Mr. McAfee will do in this type of scenario because, let's face it, Adam Cole has been known to do some crazy shit, and Adam Cole and McAfee are essentially the two that have the history. So you know that there's going to be something crazy between the two of them, and I would be very interested to see what exactly that is, who exactly takes what, and how exactly it goes down.
The only thing I know is if you think the last match is going to be stiff, 7 out of the 8 participants in this match can work real goddamn stiff. The only one I left out of that is because he's only had one professional wrestling match is Pat McAfee. Pete Dunne, real stiff. Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, real fucking stiff. The entirety of Undisputed Era, known to work real stiff. So the only kind of question mark, because like I said, he's only had one professional wrestling match that we've seen is Pat McAfee. So this match is going to be real stiff.
This match is going to be pure violence. I'm here for it all day.
Yeah.
I don't know what to expect out of this. I'm not doubting that somehow Kevin Owens gets involved and helps the Kings of NXT.
Could be. I think the only thing we know for certain about this match is that the Kings of NXT, I believe, did win the advantage for War Games.
Yeah, which, I mean, that's always a crucial thing. But looking at who's in this, I mean, obviously Undisputed Era is no strangers to this.
Nope.
I'm happy to see Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan in the main event.
Yeah.
Because they are amazing. Pete Dunne, which, by the way...
He looks slim.
My
Gone
God.
vegan.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what it is?
He looks like he's not missed the gym in a while.
No. Well,
Dude
I mean,
sleeps doing leg day.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna speak to the vegan thing because I might not agree with it, but I'm gonna say, it is. It's done well for Pete. Obviously, he has been able to dial it back in the gym. I mean, I didn't think he looked, bad physique-wise prior to this transformation, but
now he just looks fucking scary.
Yeah, now he does look scary, and I mean, I don't think he needed to be paired in this group. I think he could have been out elsewhere and been just fine. But all right, putting him in here is whatever. But I want to know what McAfee's going to do because I really there's going to be a spot set up where I mean it might even just be him jumping off the cage.
Could be,
but he's going to have to do something because there's not going to. You're not going to be the celebrity in this match, and not do something stupid because that's being one of the boys.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting point for him because I know the internet is not a fan of him wrestling. I'm not the biggest guy.
Fucking why? He did fine in that match.
I'm just not that big of a fan of him.
Okay,
but I do respect what he did in the ring.
Sure.
Like I said, I'm just I understand that's like his gimmick, the for the brand thing. Okay, sure. I mean, it's cool. I mean, it is. But is it like my favorite thing to see on wrestling? No.
Yeah. All right.
But I respect what he did in the ring. But I'm like, okay, unless you're going to do this like full time,
him, Amel. When those two get in the ring, I respect that because I know that there's a general passion that they have for the business outside of when other celebrities have come in and you can just tell this is a promotional piece because I have X thing to promote, and they do maybe something in the ring. That sucks.
Oh, yeah.
But you could tell with these, in these two in particular, especially McAfee right now, there is a general, I do love the business.
Oh, yeah.
Had I not gone and kicked punts for a living, I might have gone into this.
He absolutely does, because if it wasn't already abundantly clear from the amount of years he's done pre-show stuff, he tweeted yesterday after it got announced the Steelers-Ravens game was getting moved from 8 o'clock to 3:40. He goes, I see how it is. The NFL is scared of NXT and doesn't want to go head-to-head with NXT.
Well, he's doing a great job promoting it.
I
will say that. So he's making the match that much worth watching.
Oh, yeah, and I just to run it back to the women's war game match, I thought of a fourth member for Team Shotzi, Io Shirai.
I'd be okay with that as well.
She's got no love lost for anyone on Team Candice.
I'd be okay with that.
That'd be good.
It's the one great thing about War Games because it's such, in my opinion, an underrated cage match because they don't do it that often.
Yeah.
But once you get in there and really let them go,
and it's also it has such a different flavor from the main roster that it really is almost as if their main card.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I cannot wait to watch this come Sunday. So definitely hit us up on that hashtag ODPH. What cards are you excited to see in the land of pro wrestling this week? AEW's Winter is coming. NXT Wargames. Or is there another one going on, too? Because, I mean, obviously Ring of Honor's back with a pure title championship going on, too. I mean, obviously they crowned the champion, but Ring of Honor's really stepped it up lately, too. MLW's back. So much pro wrestling going on. We definitely need to discuss it. So hit us up. Let us know. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Do not adjust your dial. Or, well, your phone, your watch, or whatever the heck you're using to listen to the awesome podcast you're currently listening to. I am the Duke of Nerds, Tyler Mack, and I am here to tell you that being a nerd can be a bit overwhelming, especially after 30. Life moves pretty fast in our nerd culture, and if you don't take the time to notice things, you miss out. That's why I'm here. As your Duke of Nerds, I am charged with educating, enlightening, and entertaining you on all things nerdy. I do it by running the 30 to Nerdy podcast. 30 and Nerdy is a Badcast Company production and currently playing wherever you cast your pod. Follow along each episode using the hashtag 30andNerdyPod. And check out what all is going on at 30andNerdyPodcast.com. Whether it's DC, Marvel, comics, or video games, I have got you covered. So tune in now. Cheers to you, nerds.
Hey, this is Johnny Moose from Excite Wrestling, and you're listening to the ODPH. I didn't mess it up. I thought I would. Right now, back to the guys.
Time to come back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. Let's take it home with running those bases, Pat.
Got to talk a little bit of baseball, although not any breaking news with signings or anything like that. No, it's a little something interesting from baseball and then HBO. So this, according to a press release from the folks sent to us over from the folks at Warner Media, the headline reads, HBO Sports and Major League Baseball team for Under the Grapefruit Tree, the CC Sabathia story, debuting December 22nd. So the press release provided to us from the folks over at Warner Media and HBO reads, quote, Under the Grapefruit Tree, the CC Sabathia story, a documentary from HBO Sports produced in association with Major League Baseball, debuts Tuesday, December 22nd at 9 p.m. Eastern on HBO and will be available to stream on HBO Max. The film features the deeply personal story of New York Yankees pitcher Karsten Charles, CC, Sabathia Jr., using as its foundation behind-the-scenes footage from his final season with the New York Yankees in 2019. In his own words, Sabathia narrates his story, which began in Vallejo, California, where the future pitching great first honed his skills throwing grapefruits from a tree in his grandmother's yard. As the highs and lows of his last season are chronicled, Sabathia looks back on his legacy as one of the game's preeminent pitchers, as well as the profound challenges that shaped him, including his longtime battle with addiction that came to a head in 2015 while playing for the Yankees. I cannot wait for this because, like I said, Sabathia, much beloved pitcher in New York with the Yankees, had a great career over in Cleveland, great year with Milwaukee Brewers, absolutely unreal playoff run when he was with the Brewers. You know, six-time All-Star, made 6 All-Star appearances, won the World Series in 2009 with the Yankees, won the Cy Young Award in 2007, 2009 ALCS MVP, two-time Major League Baseball wins leader in 2009 and 2010. Great pitcher, great career, over 3,000 strikeouts, 251 wins, 161 losses. I can't wait to see kind of what, like a mini Last Dance kind of thing with Sabathia, especially that last game against Tampa Bay where he blew, what was it, like a $50,000 bonus or something because he didn't reach he had a thing in his contract, a bonus in his contract. If he had a certain number of innings pitched by the end of the year, he'd get like $50,000 or something like that.
Yeah. And
because of something that had taken place during the game, one of the Yankees got hit, so he went by a Tampa Bay Ray. So in retaliation, he went and hit a Tampa Bay Ray before he got that innings limit or that innings clause hit. And I cannot wait to hear his take on that.
That's going to be a fun show. I cannot wait to check this out when it happens. Coach?
Yeah, well, I want to touch basketball because unfortunately I didn't get to talk the draft results and everything, and I just want to say, and I don't need to go long because I know you guys did it in depth, last week, but I like what the Knicks did.
Okay.
I like everything that they did. I love the moves. I love the trades. I love the value picks. Some of the signings haven't been great, but I mean they've positioned themselves very well for a run at 2021.
Yeah.
And Giannis potential, LeBron potential. I mean, I doubt he would relocate his family again, but it's out there. So I'm as a Knicks fan, I'm happy.
They cleared out $70 million.
Yeah,
cap.
it's nuts.
Like it's crazy. So I don't know.
And they're still going to be competitive this year. That's the thing. Like I actually. Although I think the East will be a little more competitive this year with the way that, the players have moved. Normally you see a lot of players go from East to West. A lot of players moved East to East. So a lot of the balance of power, kind of shifted within conference, which is different.
Yeah.
But I still like the fact that they're going to be a competitive team. Unfortunately, they're probably going to play themselves out of a lottery pick, but I'm not really concerned about that because they have draft capital. Because what I would honestly like them to do, if they do whiff on free agency, honestly, I would like them to start and pull Danny Ainge and the Celtics and use this draft capital for players. Stop accumulating, all these picks and start flipping them for talent because at some point, you're going to, I fear, a 76ers type style rebuild, which, I mean, while we did praise it at first, it's not working. And at some point, I think you have to just say, we need to go out and get an established star with our young talent, and that's what you do with these first-round picks.
I fully agree. Like I'm liking everything Leon Rose and company have been doing, so I'm all for it, and I can't wait to see Brooklyn implode. That's what I'm taking away from this offseason.
You've been waiting on that for a year, so if that actually happens, you will be a very happy man.
Oh, I'm gonna be ecstatic. College basketball kicked off too well.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's tonight. Duke's actually playing Michigan at 7:30.
Michigan State.
Yeah, Michigan State. Yep. So that's going to be a big matchup.
Shout out to the Richmond Spiders who beat Kentucky, and if I read the stat right, it was the first time they've beaten a top 10 ranked opponent since the ranking system got introduced in like the 40s.
It's wild to see, but I'm very happy to see college basketball back.
We know coaches.
Oh, we
yeah,
know
I'm excited. I really hope that the universities can keep the players safe among travel. Obviously, they're not taking the same route that the college football did with keeping everything within division and nearby games. With having a little more travel with obviously playing at neutral sites and everything. So, I'm definitely hoping that all the players can stay safe and, a healthy season and hopefully get to March,
That's the fingers crossed. That's where we want to go. Speaking of college football, though, I got the rankings up. So our top 4 in the AP top 25, Alabama is still number 1. Those Notre Dame
Bullshit. Okay.
Notre Dame is at number 2.
Hey.
Ohio State is at number 3 according to the AP poll 4 on the coaches poll. And they flip it with Clemson. So Clemson is number 4 on the AP. They are 3 on the coaches poll.
Okay.
Texas A&M is 5 at the AP, 6 on the coaches. And those Florida Gators, number 6 on the AP and 5 on the coaches poll. So definitely something to keep watching.
Notre Dame just locked due to game scheduling and reshuffling in the ACC. Notre Dame has officially locked a berth in the ACC championship game.
Right.
So to me, that's essentially locking them into the playoffs.
I think so too.
Because there's no way that this team, because they're not going to lose to Syracuse, there's no way they're going to lose to Wake Forest. There's no way that this team doesn't march to Charlotte, whether it's Clemson or North Carolina, depending on where things finish. Obviously, more than likely going to be Clemson. There's no way that game, even if Notre Dame loses, as long as it loses within, 2 touchdowns, obviously I think Notre Dame can win the game. I'm just saying if. There's no way that Notre Dame doesn't get a playoff berth.
Real quick, the college football playoff top 4 just got posted like 45 seconds ago. Alabama is still number 1, Notre Dame number 2, Clemson number 3, Ohio State number 4.
Okay.
All right, interesting.
Yeah.
So definitely something to keep an eye on for as we progress towards
season. I would say it's bullshit that Alabama's won. They haven't played anybody.
Listen, my dream for an Ohio State Notre Dame national title game is still alive.
Yep, that is true as long as they stay there. Seriously. Alabama has not played anybody, and the SEC is weak as dog shit this year.
Evidence, see the Iron Bowl last weekend.
Right, and Notre Dame just came out and beat a Clemson team, whether with or without Trevor Lawrence. they should be the number one team in the nation. But that's just my
pure,
completely down the middle, straight reporting, unbiased opinion.
That's why we listen to Coach at Coach Duffy 11 on Twitter to definitely continue that
straight
conversation.
Straight down the middle, calling it exactly the way I see it.
So my base this week, though, I'll be very, very brief because honestly, there's not a lot to talk about. UFC had a fight night, Curtis Blades versus Derek Lewis, but unfortunately it had to be canceled because Blades, I believe, was contracted COVID, so they are postponing the fight for a later date. Your main event was Anthony Smith taking on Devin Clark. We did cover this on twitch.tv/607podcast, so the results are still up there for the live reactions. And Anthony Smith won via first-round submission.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the highlight from that card. There was another announcement that Leon Edwards and Chimaev has been postponed as well because Edwards has contracted COVID. They're going to try rescheduling that, I believe, for 2021. So this coming week, there is another fight night happening. Jack Hermanson taking on Marvin Veretti. I like Hermanson in this one. I think this should be a pretty quick fight. The rest of the card is kind of lackluster in my opinion. And then we go right to UFC 256 on December 12th, which should be a fun one. The only other combat sport, if you really want to call it combat sport, noteworthy, Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. had an exhibition that was exactly what it was for those gentlemen being in the age group.
Yep.
Nothing really to write home about.
I give him credit, though. With the whole rule that, as soon as somebody bleeds, it's over. I figured that happened real soon. Didn't happen.
It didn't happen. In my opinion, I saw some highlights from it. Tyson won handedly, so that's all you really need to say about it.
Yep.
The only other takeaway is poor Nate Robinson.
It's like for our takes on that, go back to the UFC live stream on twitch.tv/607podcast.
That was... I mean, shit.
The memes coming out of that, though, were gold.
Oh, yeah, but poor Nate.
I mean, all the shit that you talked before it to get just on your face. Like,
the funniest part of that whole thing was Paul Pierce's Instagram, where he's like videotaping the TV screen. He's like, come on, Nate. Let's go, Nate. And then just, damn, on the screen as he's knocked out.
Like, I mean, for the culture, and then just to get beaten up like that. I mean, listen, Jake Paul after that called out Conor. I would love to watch Conor just decimate him.
You're not the only one.
Decimate him.
That'd be one of the rare times I root for Conor McGregor.
Yeah. There was a lot of people that were volunteering to fight that. I know Conor has not entertained the idea, nor should he. No,
I just have my pipe dreams.
This is just train wreck boxing.
I mean, listen, a lot of actual people in the boxing media realm was like, and a little bit outside of it was like, is Jake Paul like have like an ability to get on a card, and potential of like being like a face of boxing? No. And I was like, damn, that's how low boxing's become to even dangle his name with legitimacy.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's clickbait 101. There's no chance.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't read the story. I just saw the headline, but I was just like, I was really shocked because, I mean, listen, we're talking about the fact that you had two of arguably pound for pound the greatest fighters of all time that, they're obviously going to do a rematch, and this is inevitably going to lead to Evander Holyfield Tyson in some capacity. And you're talking about, these names, and then all of a sudden you have somebody saying, like, can Jake Paul be, a face of boxing? And you're like, damn, that's sad that boxing's reached this low.
Well, this was a whole circus sideshow, this whole card. So, like, you can't even really say this is real boxing, in my opinion. I know Roy Jones Jr. is a boxer. I know Tyson is a legendary boxer. But everything about this was just, it's a sideshow carny, in my opinion.
Sure.
That everybody was trying to overhype this up for what it was. And I'm sorry, if you were really buying in this thinking you were getting a real boxing match, you're sadly mistaken.
Yeah.
And you should just say, thank you for donating your money because this was absolutely egregious to watch. The only thing noteworthy was Snoop Dogg on commentary.
Oh my God.
I heard he was real funny.
Yeah, he was out of control. So that's the only takeaway from this. And then I fear that they're going to actually schedule a real boxing rematch against this.
No, it is. It's gonna. I can already see this. Roy Jones and him are gonna have the rematch, and then it's gonna lead to him and Holyfield because Holyfield's already posted on social media and said that he was training. That and I honestly, the way that his body, the way that he looks, just looks like the timing for this particular pay-per-view didn't line up with his training. So it's going to be another 6 months, and he's going to be in there against Tyson.
I have no interest in seeing that. None. I'll commentate on it, but I ain't going to donate to see it. I'd rather donate to something else, and that's called Locks and Leaps. So, Pad, why don't you lead us off?
Going to start with my lock. Saw this one and went, holy shit, give me this one. Looking at the Sunday Night Football game, you have the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Denver Broncos. Currently, Kansas City is a 14-point favorite, and good God almighty, if they're able to do to Denver what they were able to do for Tampa Bay, you know they'll be able to cover that score and more. Doesn't matter who Denver's got at quarterback. Kansas City's going to shred them. And then looking at my leap, I'll be honest, I know we said a couple weeks ago the dogs were crap. They're even worse this week.
P.O.
Good Lord. So my leap this week, I'm going to be looking at the Colts-Texans game where currently Indianapolis is a 3-point favorite. Give me the Texans.
All right.
Without Will Fuller,
This
who's
is
now
true.
suspended for the year.
Yep.
I am going for my lock, going against the grain, which is what I've done all year, which is not pay dividends. I'm taking the Raiders over the Jets. 1 o'clock East Coast or West Coast traveling East Coast. I think the Raiders are going to bounce back after that putrid performance against the Falcons, and I think that they're going to come out and win this game. And for my leap, I mean, Pad pulling one out of the hat there. That I mean, interesting pick. I'm going to go with low-hanging fruit, which is the Cardinals at home versus the Rams.
Ooh.
The Rams are currently 3-point favorites. To me, the Cardinals are the better of the two teams, and they should play that way.
I am taking you on that leap as well.
Okay.
So my lock, I was going to mention this if we had more time in the 2-minute drill, but I want to address Philly fans.
Uh-oh.
So
The thoughts, views, and opinions upcoming are that of Ken M. and do not necessarily reflect that of the ODPH. Listener discretion is advised.
Marvel versus DC.
Star Wars versus Star Trek.
Star Wars versus Star Trek. I'm trying to think of the two.
Fast and Furious versus Hollywood.
I'm trying to. Yeah, that's a great one too. I was thinking the two Twilight characters.
Oh,
fighting each
yeah,
other,
I don't know.
who are there.
AEW, WWE.
Yeah. Are we Team Wentz or Team Hurts?
I'm team watch Philly burn.
My God, every week I see posts on social media
Facts.
from Philly fans that are like, Wentz is my ride or die quarterback. I'm with him 100%. And then we flip it the next week and we're saying trade him, cut him, get him out of town.
Right, run them out.
Run him out. Can we just make a declaration and stand by it? I applaud Dallas fans because you know what? I know with Dak he going down, everybody rallied around Dalton. And then when the rookie played well, they still said, Dalton is our guy.
Right.
We're standing with the rookie did good, but Dalton's our guy. One bad game, Philly, and you guys are ready to jump ship with Carson.
And one great game, and they're going to the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, one great game. Yo, we're locked in. We're locked in. We're taking the East and everything. Just pencil us in. Listen, I have sat through my fair share of bad quarterbacks throughout the years.
There's been a few.
There's been quite a few. But I've always stood by them for the season. Or if I've jumped ship from one, guess what? I stayed off it. I don't flip-flop back and forth. So, Philly fans, I'm just going to make this declaration to you. Pick a quarterback and stand by it and quit flipping because this is such a bad look for you. I will call you out each week on the show for this because your quarterback situation, you're stuck with Wentz for 2 more years.
For sure.
The money is locked.
Yeah.
So either accept it or go to Hurts and then every week keep screaming you want Hurts. Because if you keep flipping flop back and forth and you're saying he's my ride or die quarterback, listen, that is such a bad take.
Yep.
And you're doing it repeatedly. And I've seen this in the entire season.
And you just look like a fair weather.
Yeah. If you want to be a fair weather fan, that's you. But then don't go after any other fan base about it because you're not setting a great example.
Facts.
So for my lock, I'm sticking with JVD's quarterback, the potential MVP, State Farm double check himself,
The man,
the myth, the Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers.
Favored by 7 over Philly traveling to Lambeau.
Oh, Christ. You thought they put a whooping on Chicago? They're going to beat the tar out of Philly.
What do you think is going to happen now since your locker room is divided about your quarterback and so is your fan base? So what I'm challenging Philly fan to do is please call out whatever quarterback you want this week.
I'll say pro advice to Jim Schwartz. After what you did to yourself by pissing off DK Metcalf, try doing the same thing with Rodgers.
Yeah.
yeah.
So what I'm saying is pick your quarterback, stand by him, and then still watch him get torched. by Aaron Rodgers.
Announce your pick. Announce your
Yeah.
quarterback pick.
Announce
Put it. Have it be your avatar on your Facebook or Twitter.
I love it.
Yeah. Be proud.
Yes. I know Dallas fans listen. I dare Dallas fans to call out Philly about this and put the pressure on.
Listen, as much as I shat on Daniel Jones, I said that he would be a franchise quarterback somewhere else, just not New York. I was wrong. And now I'm full on the Danny Dimes train because the man's played well.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was wrong. And I'm sorry, Daniel.
But you know what? When you flipped, you didn't flip-flop and then
right.
go back.
No, I'm done. I'm full on. Danny Dimes is the future.
For as bad as Cam has played in a number of weeks, how many times have I said Jared Stidham needs to come in and play quarterback?
Facts.
Off and on the air. How many times have I said it?
Never. I haven't said it once.
Uh-huh.
And Cam Newton can't even throw the ball.
This is true.
Literally, he throws it to the ground.
This is true.
And
5 yards in front of him.
And when have you heard me say I want Matt Barkley as my
Well, why would
quarterback?
you ever say that? Fuck you, Ken. You dick. Like, oh, I've got a franchise quarterback over here. Look at me.
If I had my choices, if you can't put in Josh Allen, can you put in Cole Beasley just for
No,
fantasy
look at
purposes?
me. I've got Josh Allen over here. Fucking egregious. Like,
I got to end it.
oh, we got a franchise quarterback for once. Oh, look at us. We're Buffalo Bills.
But hey, I even said
How are you stance on the Doug Flutie, Rob Johnson thing, huh? Where were you there?
I still with Flutie.
Okay.
Yeah, when Rob Johnson was our quarterback, I said he's not the guy.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I just wanted to double check. I wanted to check in and see.
You could
Because
check.
I was never that bench Eli guy.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people that were like, put Jared Lorenzen in. I was never that guy.
I was never the bench Tyrod for Nathan Peterman.
Okay.
Yeah, that's never been me.
Tyrod played well.
Tyrod played well, except in the playoffs. And
Yeah,
then
and then fell apart. Jacksonville was good then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that all being said, the music you heard on this episode of the ODPH is that of Brian Wolf. You can find all his music and so much more on the music section at OchoDoroParlayHour.com. Also there you can find out the directory, which has all our amazing Podchaser groups, our pod groups via their Podchaser pages, and especially shout out to the Legion of Independent Podcasts, Pod Nation, the aPODalypse, who is having a pod raid today, so definitely look in the liner notes of this episode and check out the House of Indie, Alternate Reality Radio, and 607 Podcast. Pat, did I get them all?
I believe so.
I believe so, too, because I'm trying to do this without the script. All of that, so much more at OchoDoroParlayHour.com, because that's all we got for this week. So for your coach, my coach, the coach who's swearing at me, Coach Duffy.
Good night and good luck.
For the one and only Padawan J.
Dear John Elway, my services are still available.
I'm your host, Ken M. Josh Allen is my quarterback. Thank you, as always, for listening to the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. We'll see you next time.